Welcome to my video. This video is very, very powerful. I've got notes for days, right? Wow. I was supposed to do a whole lot of other videos and they were all prepped to actually be published on YouTube. And then I cancelled them. And that was by order of Sekhmet and Hathor. They were like, you're not doing that. And I was like, okay, so what are we doing? And then I went through some life lessons today. And then I was like, okay, we're doing that then. All right. And it's about twin flames. It's about sacred union. It's about relationships, about all of the things. Now, we are very, very much being held in place right now by Hathor, who is the goddess of unconditional love, sacred sexuality, joy, fun, play, music, all of the things, right? We have been living Joyous June. And I know it's been a very, very intense month for many of us. However, it is unfolding for us at a rate of knots, which is why it's a little bit bumpy right now. We are also joined by Sekhmet, divine mother of transformation, healing, purpose, the fire codes, alchemy. I mean, she is all of the things. And Sekhmet and Hathor are one of the same. And in fact, Sekhmet was born through Hathor's rage. So the two of them, the water and the fire. So of course, Sekhmet is the fire and Hathor's the water. That's alchemy. When fire meets water, there's like steam, and that's alchemy. So working with these two goddesses and having them in this space right now is an absolute gift. And Hathor has been talking about union and relationships. Even last week, she was whispering in my ear, and I was like already kind of like sharing and teaching on starseed parenting and so on and so forth. But this week, she was like right now. And let me tell you, the videos that I had prepped to share with you was not to do with this. So you know what? The goddess always gets. She always gets. And I always honor, because I am the voice of them. Nothing else, nothing more. So basically, Sekhmet and Hathor are in this space together. So we are talking about divine union, twin flames, sacred counterparts, relationships. Now, when you are of a twin flame frequency, let's keep that very, very real, because each and every one of us holds the frequency of the twin flame, because we all have masculine and feminine aspects within, right? So nobody's separate of that. Everybody has that. However, there are kind of like almost versions, different purposes of a twin flame. Now, let's talk about the young star seeds. There are so many young star seeds now really peaking on their twin flame vibes. They are just seeking out union, their relationships at a very young age now. I didn't know this when I was their age, but from like 17, 18 years old, when they're starting to get boyfriends and girlfriends and things like that, they are very deeply immersed in their sense of self, and they're looking at the relationship in different eyes. And that is a sacred union. That's a twin flame union. And they're very, very powerful relationships that are popping off around me, because I see it in my sons and daughters' relationships. I'm like, wow, okay, there it is. So there's a young star seeds have already got that and have kind of picked up the ball and run with that. But then you have the other twin flames, which I call the frontliners. Okay, I'm definitely one of them, and I know there's many out there, that are of the same kind of like vibration of that twin flame. So we were the ones that kind of like held the space, the ultimate of the space holding. Gospel of Marie. Take it or leave it. Going back to the Atlantis days, Atlantis frequency and energy and memory is very much up front and center, because we've done full circle. We are now in the golden age of Gaia, golden age of Aquarius, golden age of Atlantis. So we've done full circle. That's why there's so much AI come up, because the golden age of Aquarius is all about technology and things like that. It's a very masculine energy, actually, to be honest, but it's very much balanced up by the divine feminine. Now, we all know what happened to Atlantis. Basically, they started to tap into artificial frequencies, and they thought that they were more powerful than nature, and they tried to change that with using these other energies, and it was just basically manipulation for power. And of course, we know what happened. There was huge floods, and we all fell from grace, and we lost our connection, right? So we've come back full circle to kind of like do it a little bit differently, because we're a bit older and wiser now in our souls, aren't we? And we know better, right? So we've come to kind of like revisit that. So what's happening now is the twin flames that were responsible for holding the frequency of the 5D consciousness, they were the ones that I called like the front runners. Call us A-frame computers, if you like, the main generators. So of course, when these dark forces came along, they're like, how are we going to like collapse this 5D power? How are we going to take people's power away? Oh, what's the first place they go to? The twin flame. So we were manipulated, dissected, deceived, all of the things. So we kind of like stood away. Some of us actually consciously sold out. And that's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. We feel that a lot of us are twin flames, in this life, we feel like we've got a massive debt to pay, which is unpayable actually, because you can try and do that. It's never going to work. The need to rescue, do you know what I mean? This carrying the mission, like so burdensome. It's like, we've got to get it done. We've got to get it done, because we still hold a little bit of trauma to the Atlantis days of what it was to hold that position back then. So this is why I'm bringing in the energy of twin flame, because Hathor was saying, right, all of you are coming into union now. You're starting to deeply connect with your sense of self. You're starting to really connect with your heart of one. You're starting to go through the layers. You're getting somewhere now. We're getting some traction. So what's happening now is the relationships around us are mirroring back to us exactly what we need to look at here. So we're feeling a lot of stuff inside of ourselves. So yes, twin flame counterparts, okay, can be your divine sacred other, okay? That relationship that you are seeking, if you're saying, I'm trying to look at my twin flame, we're still in separation, and you think that they're going to complete you, tell me how that goes, because you're going to be chasing that forever and you're never going to get there. Probably the chances are, by the time you connect with that twin flame and you get together, it's still going to be a ball of shit. Why? Because you're not actually getting the memo, because they're not the ones that you were supposed to seek and seek out and kind of like unite with. They were the ones that you connect with, and they were going to show you your deepest, darkest traumas. Can you handle that? Can you look at that mirror and go, oh my God, that's why twin flame relationships are deemed kind of very dysfunctional. They're not a soul flame. Oh, so amazing. Trust me, I've been married to mine for 25 years, and I've been in a marriage which has been very difficult. I can't just book out. I've not been able to walk away. Children involved, all the rest of it. We've had to dig really deep with one another to kind of figure it out. So that's the like close, intimate relationship. But also as well, other relationships in your life are going to reflect back to you where your ultimate relationship is out of alignment, which is the relationship with you. The twin flake, we're talking chocolate flake? Maybe I need to go and feed my sweet tooth. The twin flame that you seek, the beloved that you seek in that other person, it's actually you. You are looking for yourself in them, and you're kind of finding it because they're going, yeah, I'll show you where you are, but look at this first. And that's where you're like, whoa. And then we kind of project out and we miss the fact that that was a gift. They are showing us the shadow and shade inside. We need to look at that, right? So that is the way you change everything in your life. We know it's an inside job, right? So twin flames, that's a very, very condensed kind of like Gospel of Marie, Atlantis, what's been going down. So relationships are up front and center. And Hathor is trying to show us now about this relationship with self, about how, really, really kind of love ourselves into alignment. And the only way that we can do that is through acceptance. Acceptance is the gateway to joy. So this is all well and good me talking about these things. How do we apply it practically? And I'm going to get into that in a minute. When I was in this meditation, because today, my husband of 25 years, we live everywhere, actually. He lives in Zimbabwe. I live here. We live together when he comes here. We live together when I go there. It's like, I'm in England, I'm in Egypt. He's, we're like spiritual nomads. And since our paths parted, as it were, 10 years ago, we moved to Cape Town. He was supposed to come with. For business reasons, he couldn't. We ended up living in separation. I went through a massive deep dive to do with betrayal, and you didn't come. But over the years, I kind of like healed that. And I don't want to throat punch him anymore. We understood the assignment, right? But now what's happening is now we've come to a crossroads, a liminal space, which is where the magic is most potent, meaning my kids have left home. I'm looking at him going, what do our lives look like now? We're going to go and travel a bit, have time for ourselves because we've got no commitments. He's like, oh no, I can't because I got all this drama in Zimbabwe that I need to deal with, which is all business related. Sorry. So of course I was like, hell to the nah, that's not happening. And of course I wanted to just Sekhmet, kill him, and that lasted for about 5 minutes until I was able to contain the flame and bring the energy back in and not burn anybody's face off. And I was like, okay, so I would like to blame someone right now, but I can't, because the thing is, he's my movie. What's the separation? So from his side, he's looking at me because I said to him, well, I'm going to go to England and I'm going to bugger off for a while. And he was like, what do? You're abandoning me. I'm not going to sit here in this chaos. So you see, as we came together, we kind of like had this, and then it was like, kaboom, no. So I was like, what's going on here then? So anyway, sat in meditation with spirit, okay? Spirit brings Hathor and Sekhmet. In they come, right? And we sit in communion, right? And what was so beautiful and lovely is Sekhmet came, right? And I was just so in my head and I was like, listen, I'm fully taking responsibility for all the energy that's going on. And this is what's really, really important. You want to take strides to kind of like, understand this journey and be very practical, spiritual and successful in your transmutations of shadow, right? Take responsibility. That's the first place. Soon as you start blaming and saying that happened to me, he did that, or she did that, or she said that, you're deflecting, you're sending the energy out there. You're never going to get it back. So you're going to be constantly in that. It's hard to do. I know, because there's a lot of people that will deliver you some really shitty lessons. And, you think that's not fair. But feel how it feels. Forget about the story. That's just the DHL man. Come inside and be like, right, what am I feeling? So, of course, I'm like a little bit angry. I'm like, why is this always happening every time we want to come together and do something? We get split apart again. So I was like, because it's time for me and my husband to come back together now. We've done 10 years. This is a different time. So I went into it and I sat there and I felt like I was imprisoned. I felt panicked. I felt like caged. Like I can't do anything now because now I have to wait for him. And we don't have to wait for anybody. So I went into my inner child was tweaking. She was just like, this is not fair. I don't want to do this. Getting like, oh my God, we don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. And that's what I had to kind of like calm the waters with. And then suddenly I felt Sekhmet come behind me. And like you go, surprise to somebody put your hands. She kind of like put her hands here and she started to heal my head. Because the thought processes and the belief systems were so intense that she was like, this, what you're thinking and what you're believing is not real. And she sat there and she placed her paws on my head. And it gets me quite emotional because she came in and she was a softer side of Sekhmet. And I know Sekhmet to be like, oh, rah, rah, boom, clack. She came in and she was just like Mut is very much the softer aspect of Sekhmet. She is soft. She can purr instead of raw. So this is what she was doing. She put in her hands here. And I was just feeling this gentle soothing of her fires and her flames, just burning everything away. It was like she was just doing this. And then she placed her hands over my eyes. And I was like, what are you doing now? And she was like, I'm soothing your eyes. I'm giving you a different perception so you can see differently. So she was transmuting and burning away all of the belief systems that had me seeing things in a certain way, because it's not real. Because the only vibration and energy we have here is love. And then Hathor came in and Hathor stood in front of me, and Hathor was here, Sekhmet was here. Hathor stands before me and she places her hand on my heart and she starts healing me. And I could feel and see in my mind's eye all this blue flame energy, really, really like a light aqua blue all around my heart. And I said, what are you doing? She says, I'm healing and balancing your heart and bringing it into alignment with your mind, with Sekhmet. And Sekhmet's like, I'm bringing your mind and your perception in alignment with Hathor, with your heart. And I had this infinity symbol going here. And I was like, wow. And I feel the energy pop when I say that this was starting to match up with the heart. And then Hathor spoke and she said, there's nothing else in this world except love, the purest and purest of love. And it is now time for you to accept yourself and everything as it is, even if it's shadow, acceptance that is actually illusion, acceptance that this is actually going on, acceptance that you're in a human experience, acceptance that you are love and you are here to receive love. And this energy came in and I was like, wow, okay, so this is what it is. Acceptance is the gateway to joy. Joy is the gateway to love, right? So it all kind of like adds on. So I was like, wow. So there was very much an internal experience. So this is what I'm sharing with you when it comes to the twin flame aspects and the twin flame understanding and like the triggering of relationships outside of you. Don't get into the story. Look at how's it making you feel? With anything, go straight into the feeling. How does it make you feel? That brings empowerment to you to be able to change your reality. Because once you know what trapped emotions are inside of you, you can then best to kind of like bring them into balance. And that's what Sekhmet and Hathor are doing. So talking about balance, I'm now going to share with you, and this is going to be a little bit of the temple meeting. The temple is a free online classroom, which I do in my Zoom room, but it's the temple. Okay. And it's basically, an hour and a half of wisdom teachings for the initiates. That's you. So So they were showing me today, like this is just three. There's many, many ways you can work with Sekhmet and Hathor to bring this balance into, and soothing of balance into your reality, right? So, it's all about the relationship with self, because the only relationship that there is really in this world is with you, So don't go seeking out there. You look for you in everything, in the flowers, in the dysfunctional relationship, in the glorious relationship. Look for it, because you're love. So you're looking for love. Where does love lack in your life? Remember? That's the message of the whole month that Hathor's been talking about. So now by bringing in Sekhmet and Hathor, which are the most beautiful twin flames, really, when you think about it, divine union. And let's face it, to every female, there is a male, because you have Ptah and you have Sekhmet. You have Hathor and you have Horus. Everybody has a divine sacred counterpart. You have Thoth and Ma'at. Some say it's Sashat, you know what I mean? But there's always a divine feminine to every divine masculine, right? Because that's the balance. So now also bringing in two females doesn't matter. They're still twin flame energy, and they still work together very powerfully. So Sekhmet is the fire and Hathor is the water, and they're very, very, very powerful in their medicine, right? So Sekhmet burns away the illusion. We know that she just like set flames to everything, clears everything out the way. And then Hathor brings the water, her divine flow, and water just smooths everything out. Very, very divine feminine, probably more divine feminine than Sekhmet, actually. So if you want to equate one with the other, I would say fire is masculine and then the water is feminine, if you really want to get into the macro or micro cycles of all of this. And then number two, she said Sekhmet ignites the passion. So Sekhmet is the passion projects. She ignites excitement and yeah, let's do this, woo, and you want to get into it, right? And then Hathor kind of brings her creative codes of the divine feminine through the womb wisdom. So now even if you're a dude and you're watching this, it matters not, because you also got a goddess inside of you as well as a god. You know what I mean? That's for reals, right? So where is if you don't have a womb, don't worry about it. You're all included. You can still do this. You've got your sacral chakra, which is a divine masculine and feminine dance. Some may say that a man's womb is the heart. I personally think it's the sacral chakra. That's just me. And that's where you create from. So of course, Hathor will bring her creative codes of her motherhood, and how to birth projects into being, right? Sekhmet will ignite the passion to do that, right? And then third point, Sekhmet brings the chaos. Always, she'll bring the chaos. Always. There's where there's chaos, there's Sekhmet. Where there's Sekhmet, there's chaos. Divine feminine power, energy, but being swept off by the chaos, taken off downriver, you haven't harnessed your power. You just got taken out by it, right? Blasting somebody's face off and just going, you know what I mean? You just basically haven't harnessed your flames, which is your power. You got to tame your flame, man. You know what I mean? So that's part of your process, right? But when you bring into the perfect balance of Sekhmet and Hathor, you will stand in the middle of the twister with this chaos going around, and you will stand in the center, anchored into the earth, roots into Gaia, and you will hold yourself as you command, the energy around you. You conjure the energy. You are the chaos, so you can control it because you have that mastery over self, right? That's Sekhmet. And that's the... And then in the center, you have Hathor, who is so still, so present, pure divine love. It's the two opposing forces, pure divine love, as she stands there and she holds her center, and she is peaceful AF. Get her a cup of tea. Nothing's phasing her. But the energy of Sekhmet is all around her. That is what we're working towards. That is the embodiment, the pure embodiment of divine balance, divine masculine, divine feminine, holding your center, knowing how to hold that presence no matter what, right? And that is union. That is union. That is the mastery of your inner world, right? So if you master your inner world, you've mastered your outer world. So that's the message of Sekhmet and Hathor. So with that being said, I'm going to let that medicine land. And if relationships are kicking your ass a little bit, it's okay. Let it. Accept it. How does it make you feel? That's the gateway. The true, might look a bit dark, but unlock that. And then everything will change. That's what I'm going to do today. So thank you for watching. Peace out. And I will see you on my next video.